They're occupying Sesame Street. Where will the Cookie Monster go? No, that's in the future. Right now, it's Wall Street and many other urban centres in the US. And guess what? It's coming to Tirana this weekend. Informed, committed protest or a drug-fuelled, promiscuous dumb happening. Now, Charles Cook is from the National Review and has been interviewing some of the people involved. Welcome to you, sir.
Hello.
I saw some of the videos. They were very informative and quite funny, some of them. I have to ask you, sir, because there's a lot of stuff on the internet for more conservative groups and people seeming to prove that a lot of the people on Wall Street are, well, morons, frankly. They're bigots, they're racist, they don't know why they're there. Is that fair?
It's more fair than you'd be led to believe. I mean, there are obviously people there who aren't morons, but they're very difficult to find. I have not been picking on the morons. I've just been talking to random people. And I've found people who are, playing Halloween. I found people who want their college debts paid. I found people who largely have no idea why they're there. Many of them say, I went down there, I wanted to get involved, this is a great movement, and then I picked a cause. Well, I don't know many real or legitimate protests that start like that.
No. It does seem almost insulting when we think of civil rights marches and the risk of being, well, not only beaten up, you had people who were murdered, for goodness sake. And this is... Right. So if it's superficial, that's one thing, but my golly, there's a lot of people involved in this superficial protest.
Superficial is probably not the right word. I would say indulgent.
OK.
I spoke to a guy yesterday. I put the video up on National Review, and he wanted his college tuition paid. Now, he couldn't answer why. He said, well, it's my opinion. I'm just putting it out there. Nobody was disputing that it was his opinion. But, I mean, if anyone had been thinking, if any rich benefactor, the sort of people he hates, had been thinking, you know what, I'll just pay this guy's college tuition. Having heard him talk for 30 seconds, they would have changed their mind because they wouldn't have got a very good deal on it.
Yeah.
And he really had gone down there just because he doesn't like the fact he has debt. Well, he chose to incur that debt. This is not Alabama 1965. I mean, he went to college.
Yeah, what I've seen of the interviews, I mean, it is staggering, actually, how stupid so many people seem to be, but also how inoffensive many of them are, because in conversation, they seem to be quite agreeable. They have some silly ideas, but there's one fellow who has some videos on the internet, and a couple of them actually want financing for their individual idea. They want to become a corporation themselves.
Right, and that's the thing. It does sound rude to say that these people are stupid. But I've been disappointed with the fact that they largely are. Having said that, they're harmless. There's been a few hysterical posts saying, is this the beginning of something bad? Is this mob violence? Is this going to be the London riots? I don't think so. They're fairly benign. I'm not sure any of them could really run a lentil stall particularly efficiently. And I doubt there will be revolution on the streets of New York, put it that way.
Yeah. You mentioned the London riots, and you're from the UK originally, and what characterised the riots that began in Tottenham, that I know extremely well, was the acute violence. They were not really political either. People claimed they were, but they weren't. It was really about personal greed and desire and lust. And I suppose this, in many ways, is a North American version. It is gentler, it's less trouble. One thing I wanted to ask you, and again, I haven't been there, I've just seen the coverage, but New York is a stunningly multicultural and pluralistic area to be in. These demonstrations, these occupations, seem to be overwhelmingly white and middle class.
Yeah, they are overwhelmingly white and middle class. There's an unholy alliance of young people who seem to be upset at the economy, which is understandable. The solutions that they propose, if they do propose them, are insane, but who are understandably upset at the economy. And maybe have a lot of college debt and feel underemployed. And really the 60s generation who are giving it one last shot, having lost since Woodstock, having lost every major public policy battle, and having lost the heart of the remaining American people, or remainder of the American people who have jobs and like their country. They're giving it one last shot, and they're turning up. And this is not full of... Well, it's not just that it's very white and middle class. It's that there are 14 million unemployed people. Where are they? Yeah. I mean, this is not a mass movement. The "we are the 99% refrain that you hear everywhere doesn't seem to be substantiated, because it's not as if they're changing public opinion. These are the people who always protest. I think that's the key. It's that late 60s protest generation who don't like the way the country is, and they're not really protesting Wall Street in the sense that they've never liked the way the country is, and they want fundamental transformative change. Why now? Why now?
The absence of self-awareness. I saw one particular group listening to someone from Egypt, I think, and they were chanting after him everything he said. They really believe they are akin to those people who stood up to the police and the army in various Arab cities, and in Syria now they're still being mowed down. How could anyone have the audacity in a country like the US to really believe that they were as courageous as someone putting their life on the line on a daily basis?
Right, and I wrote this yesterday, which is that on top of it all is a real sense of delusion. Yeah. Firstly, it's a delusion that they're carrying the country with them. When you ask why they're not carrying the country with them and why the people that they're supposedly advocating for aren't there, you'll get all sorts of absurd social theories, which make no sense at all. But the second delusion, and I think almost all of them are under this, is that their movement is brave. I mean, they genuinely see themselves as being in the vanguard of some sort of revolutionary movement which is going to make a heaven on earth if only the people would come along with it. And it's really, really absurd to talk to them and then look left and see these wonderful skyscrapers and all of these restaurants and, you know, people going to work. Yeah. Tahrir Square was something different completely. And I don't want to malign them too much, but it's actually fairly awkward to listen to that, because they're lacking in context, and they're lacking in, if I dare say, education. That the people who have been protesting in the Arab world are seriously oppressed. I mean, they have had their fundamental rights taken away.
Of course.
And these people came here on the subway. I mean,
no, it's very well said. I mean, a lack of empathy actually is the first step towards treating others with complete contempt. Terrific stuff. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much.